Have you ever met someone who moves through life like a storm? Someone who dives into challenges without hesitation, speaks their mind without fear, and somehow still carries a strange, childlike hope deep inside? Maybe you've crossed paths with an Aries. Or maybe you are one. Here's a shocking truth. Behind that fearless energy, Aries hides layers of vulnerability most people never see. What drives them isn't just bravery. It's a constant inner battle. A restless need to prove something, not to the world, but to themselves. In this video, we're going to explore the secret psychology of Aries. Not the basic zodiac descriptions you've heard before. This is different. We'll uncover the hidden emotions behind their actions. The reasons why they hate being controlled. Why they jump into the unknown. Why they can't sit still, even when they're exhausted inside. And if you're wondering, why does this matter? Because understanding Aries isn't just about knowing someone else. It's about understanding a part of yourself. That restless, fiery spark we all carry, in some way. So, if you're ready to look deeper, stay with me. This journey might change the way you see Aries forever. And before we dive in, remember to hit like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to hear this. Ready? Let's begin. Sometimes, the bravest people are the ones hiding the most fragile hearts. Have you ever thought about that? Aries is known for their boldness, their fearless energy. But beneath all that fire, there's something much softer, much more human. Think of someone who always takes the lead. Who jumps first, speaks first, and risks first. It looks like confidence, doesn't it? But what if, deep down, they're constantly fighting the fear of being unseen, or worse, forgotten? Aries often acts not just from bravery, but from a deep desire to prove that they exist. That their voice matters. It's like a silent question in their soul. Do you see me now? This is why their courage feels so real. Because it's not just a surface trait. It's a shield. Every bold step they take is their way of saying, I'm still here. I'm still strong. If you've ever loved an Aries, you might have seen this hidden softness during quiet moments. When their energy drops. When they sit silently after an argument. That's when you realize they're not unbreakable. They just refuse to let anyone see the cracks. And then there's the way Aries connects with people. It can feel intense. Their words are direct. Honest. Sometimes too honest. They'll tell you the truth without sugarcoating it. At first, it can feel harsh. But look closer. They're not trying to hurt you. Aries uses honesty like a key. A way to unlock real connection. In their minds, if they're honest with you, it means they trust you. They respect you enough not to lie. Have you ever had a friend who tells you exactly what they think, even when it stings? That's probably an Aries. But here's the thing, their honesty isn't a weapon. It's an invitation. A challenge for you to be just as real. To drop the masks. It's their way of saying, let's stop pretending. This makes their relationships raw, but genuine. You never have to guess where you stand with an Aries. And in today's world, where so many people hide behind politeness, isn't that refreshing? Sure. It's uncomfortable sometimes. But it's also freeing. It teaches us that real connection needs real words. Now, let's talk about something that's both beautiful and difficult, their need to love fast. Hard, and completely. When Aries loves, they don't hold back. Their passion is immediate. It's loud. It's visible. It's the friend who defends you even when you're wrong. The partner who shows up with flowers after a fight. Because their heart can't stand silence. Aries loves like they're racing time, because in their minds, every moment could be their last chance to show you how much they care. But this isn't just romance. It's how they approach life itself. Every experience matters. Every connection matters. And when someone pulls away from them, even slightly, Aries feels it deeply. That's when the fire can turn into frustration. Or even jealousy. Not because they're controlling, but because losing connection feels like losing a part of themselves. If you're in a relationship with an Aries, remember this: when they love fiercely, it's not about possession. It's about fear. Fear of fading into the background. Fear that their love won't be enough to keep you close. And perhaps the most fascinating thing is how Aries uses creativity to heal themselves. You might not realize it, but those sudden bursts of energy, the random projects they start, the impulsive road trips or new hobbies, it's not just randomness. It's therapy. Aries processes emotions through action. When they feel hurt, they don't always cry. They build. They move. They create. Have you ever met someone who suddenly redecorates their room after a bad week? Or signs up for a new class when life feels heavy? That's Aries. They don't sit with pain. They move through it. Creativity is their escape. And their medicine. But here's where it gets interesting. Their projects aren't always meant to succeed. Aries isn't afraid of failing. They care more about the process than the result. It's the act of doing, the feeling of movement, that soothes their restless mind. Every impulsive creation is like a conversation with their own soul, even if it ends in chaos. And maybe that's something we can all learn from them. That healing doesn't have to be quiet. Sometimes, it looks like wild energy. Like unfinished projects. Like chasing a crazy idea just because your heart needs to breathe. Aries teaches us that passion isn't just a trait. It's survival. So next time you see someone racing through life, always creating, always moving, don't judge them for being restless. Look deeper. They might just be trying to heal. And maybe, so are you. Have you ever wondered why some people never seem to slow down? Why they're always chasing something, even when there's nothing obvious to chase? This is one of the hidden sides of Aries energy. They are constantly on a quest, but not just for success or recognition. They are chasing themselves. Their identity is not something fixed. It's something they're always building, piece by piece, through every challenge, every risk, every victory and failure. Aries doesn't just experience life. They use life to sculpt who they are. This explains why comfort zones feel like traps to them. The moment life becomes predictable, Aries feels like they're disappearing. Like they're losing touch with the raw, burning core of who they are. They crave change not for excitement, but for survival. Imagine a person who can't breathe when they stand still too long. That's the Aries soul. They need movement to remember they're alive. And their instincts? They trust them more than anything else. To an outsider, this looks like recklessness. Like they're just reacting without thinking. But if you step inside their mind, you'll find something else entirely. Aries believes their first impulse is their truest voice. Why? Because overthinking feels like betrayal. It feels like doubting their own soul. Their gut tells them where to go, what to say, and when to act. And more often than not, their instincts lead them exactly where they need to be. But there's a price. Acting purely on instinct means making mistakes. Aries knows this. But here's what's beautiful: they don't fear mistakes the way most people do. They see failure as part of the journey. A lesson learned. A scar earned. Every wrong turn is still a step forward in their eyes. Now, let's talk about competition. Not the toxic kind. Not the "I must win and you must lose" mentality. Aries doesn't compete to crush others. They compete to challenge themselves. To see what they're really capable of. Every race, every argument, every personal goal becomes a mirror. A reflection of their current strength. And they always want to see a stronger, better version looking back at them. If you've ever watched an Aries push themselves beyond exhaustion just to finish something, you've seen this competitive fire. It's not about the trophy. It's about proving to themselves that they can go further than yesterday. That they're not standing still. Even losing doesn't break them. It fuels them. Because every loss shows them where to improve. Where to grow. And that is their real victory. But there's something about Aries that can be hard for others to understand. Their need to resist control. It's not just a quirk. It's a psychological defense. Aries associates control with danger. To them, rules and limits aren't just boundaries. They're cages. The moment someone tries to dictate how they should live, Aries instinctively rebels. Even if the rules make sense. Even if the structure could help them. Their soul fights back. And this isn't childish defiance. It's about protecting their freedom. Their autonomy is sacred. Without it, they feel powerless. Empty. Think of a bird that can't fly. That's how Aries feels when they're trapped in a rigid system. Whether it's a strict boss, a controlling partner, or even societal expectations, Aries will find a way to break free. Not because they want chaos, but because they believe freedom is the only space where they can truly grow. But this comes with its own struggles. Aries often burns bridges without meaning to. In their fight to protect themselves, they sometimes hurt people who were only trying to help. If you care about an Aries, remember this: when they push you away, it's not always rejection. It's fear. Fear of losing their ability to choose their own path. And yet, inside all that fire, there's a kind of patience most people miss. You see, Aries doesn't have the traditional kind of patience. They don't wait in silence. Their patience is hidden inside their movement. Every time they keep pushing forward after failure, that's patience. Every time they bounce back after rejection, that's patience too. It's persistence disguised as impatience. This is something we can all learn from them. That endurance isn't always about stillness. Sometimes, it's about refusing to stop. Refusing to give up. Even when you're tired. Even when nothing seems to work. Aries shows us that moving forward, even when it's messy, is still a form of strength. Of patience. Their restlessness isn't weakness. It's survival. And yet, beneath all this action, there's a silent fear that few people ever see. The fear of stagnation. The fear that if they stop moving, they'll stop mattering. That if they don't achieve the next thing, they'll lose their sense of purpose. This fear drives them. But it also drains them. If you're someone who carries this same fear, maybe now you understand why you feel restless. Why you feel anxious when life slows down. Maybe, like Aries, you're not just chasing success. You're chasing the feeling of being alive. But here's the question Aries struggles with most: what happens when there's nothing left to chase? And that is where the deepest lessons begin. Because in the next part of this video, we'll explore how Aries uses their fiery energy to inspire others, how they create and destroy at the same time, and why their greatest strength might also be their greatest curse. Stay with me. What comes next might change everything you think you know about Aries. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to burn brighter when they're surrounded by others? How their passion spreads like wildfire, pulling everyone into their orbit? That's the quiet magic of Aries. They don't just live with intensity, they radiate it. Their energy is like a spark that lights up entire rooms without them even realizing it. When Aries believes in something, you'll feel it. When they're excited, you'll catch yourself getting excited too. It's not something they force. It's something they become. Maybe you've had a friend or a coworker like this. Someone who made you believe you could do more, simply because they believed it first. Aries leads without thinking about leadership. They ignite others simply by being themselves. It's a natural force, not a calculated strategy. And this is where their true power lies. Aries doesn't motivate through words. They inspire through action. But what's even more fascinating is how they handle slowness. Or more accurately, how they can't handle it. Aries is wired to move fast. They hate delays. Waiting feels like suffocation. You'll see it in simple moments. Standing in line makes them restless. A slow conversation makes them anxious. A project dragging on feels like failure. They need movement, progress, speed. But behind this impatience, there's a deeper story. It's not just about being efficient. It's about their relationship with time. Aries feels like time is always running out. Like every moment wasted is a moment they'll never get back. That's why they push. That's why they seem restless. It's not rudeness. It's urgency. They're racing life itself. If you've ever worked with an Aries, you'll know this energy well. They push deadlines forward. They want answers now. They'd rather take action and fix mistakes later than sit around planning forever. And while this can frustrate more cautious people, it's also what gets things done. Aries reminds us that sometimes waiting isn't wise. Sometimes, action is the only answer. And this urgency isn't just a part of what they do. It's who they are. From the moment they wake up, Aries feels like there's something important waiting just beyond the horizon. Something they must chase. They live like every second matters. Because to them, it does. This is why they often seem intense, why they leap into relationships, jobs, adventures without a plan. They're not reckless. They're responding to an inner clock that's always ticking louder than anyone else's. Think about your own life for a moment. Have you ever felt like time was slipping through your fingers? Like you had to act before it was too late? That's a glimpse of what Aries feels every day. This constant pressure to live fully, to move faster, to achieve more. It's exhausting, but it's also what makes their lives so vibrant. And maybe the most surprising thing about Aries is their relationship with adventure itself. Not the kind you plan for months. Not the carefully scheduled vacations or the neatly organized goals. Aries craves adventures without a plan. The kind where you just say yes and figure it out later. The unknown doesn't scare them. In fact, it excites them. Have you ever known someone who books a last-minute flight, starts a project without thinking, or says why not to an idea that seems crazy? That's Aries energy in action. They're not afraid of risk. They're afraid of routine, of boredom, of missing out on life's raw experiences. And this isn't about recklessness. It's about trust. Aries trusts themselves to handle whatever comes. They believe that life's best moments aren't found on a carefully mapped route, they're discovered when you take the road you didn't expect. There's something freeing about this. Something we can all learn from. Because how often do we hold ourselves back, waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect conditions? Aries doesn't wait. They leap. And even if they fall, they know they'll rise again. Stronger, wiser, and ready for the next adventure. This wild, unplanned way of living keeps their world exciting. Full of stories, mistakes, and memories that most of us are too afraid to create. Aries teaches us that life isn't meant to be controlled. It's meant to be lived. But of course, this way of living can be overwhelming. Not just for Aries, but for the people around them. Their fast pace, their constant movement, their hunger for freedom, it can create tension in relationships, in work, even within themselves. Because sometimes, even a fire needs to rest. Understanding Aries means understanding this balance. The balance between burning bright and not burning out. And yet, everything we've explored so far, all the fire, all the movement, all the passion, it's just the surface. Because in the next part of this journey, we'll dive into 3 of the most powerful, controversial, and deeply emotional truths about Aries. The parts of their soul that even they don't always understand. What are these hidden truths? Stay with me, and you'll see. There's something powerful about a person who can lead without trying. Have you noticed that? Someone who walks into a room and suddenly, people just follow. Not because they're told to. Not because they're forced to. But because their energy is too strong to resist. That's Aries. They are natural leaders. But here's the twist. They don't want to lead for the sake of power. They lead because they can't stand being told what to do. For Aries, leadership is freedom. It's choosing their own path and inviting others to join them, not ordering anyone to follow. Picture a rebellious leader. Not the loudest person in the room, but the one brave enough to challenge the rules when they don't make sense. Aries questions authority not because they want chaos, but because they crave progress. They need to break outdated systems so something better can be built. They inspire by doing, by risking, by proving that change is possible. If you've ever worked with someone who disrupts the usual ways of doing things and sparks something new, that's Aries energy at work. Their leadership isn't about control. It's about momentum. About showing others what's possible when you dare to be different. And when Aries loves, that same fire burns inside their heart. They don't do lukewarm emotions. They either love you or they don't. And when they do, it's all-consuming. Their love isn't quiet. It's loud. It's clear. You'll feel it in the way they protect you. Defend you, support you without hesitation. But this passion also makes them vulnerable. Because when Aries loves, they give everything. Their loyalty, their trust, their energy. And if that love isn't returned, or if they sense distance, it cuts deep. Jealousy, frustration, even emotional outbursts can happen. Not because they're possessive, but because losing love feels like losing a part of themselves. Have you ever seen someone send a message they regret, or show up unexpectedly just to fix a misunderstanding? That's Aries. They can't help it. Their emotions refuse to be hidden. And maybe that's what makes their relationships so intense, but also so real. Because in a world where people often play games with love, Aries gives theirs without a filter. What's important to remember is that their protectiveness isn't about control. It's about fear. Fear of losing something that matters. And if you're loved by an Aries, know this, their fire may be overwhelming sometimes. But it's proof that you matter. Truly matter. Now, step into their mind for a moment. Imagine waking up every day needing a new challenge. A new target. Something to conquer. This isn't a choice for Aries. It's a need. When life gets too easy, too predictable, they feel restless. Like something inside them is dying. Their energy demands a fight, a mountain to climb, a race to run. That's how they feel alive. This constant hunger for challenge makes them incredible achievers. They'll push themselves harder than anyone else, chasing goals with relentless determination. Whether it's a career ambition, a fitness target, or a personal milestone, Aries needs something ahead to reach for. And yet, this drive can also leave them exhausted. Because once they achieve one goal, they're already searching for the next. Their victories are short celebrations. The real thrill is in the chase. If you recognize yourself in this, remember, chasing goals is good. But don't forget to pause. To breathe. To celebrate how far you've come. Aries often forgets that. They're so focused on what's next that they miss the beauty of what is. And finally, perhaps the most beautiful, yet misunderstood part of Aries, is their optimism. Not a naive kind of optimism. Not the surface level, everything will be fine positivity. No. Aries carries a kind of fierce hope. A belief that life, no matter how hard, can always get better. That every ending hides a new beginning. That even after failure, there's still something worth fighting for. This is what gives Aries their courage, their strength, their ability to rise after falling again and again. People often mistake this for arrogance. But it's not. It's resilience. It's a deep decision they make every day. The decision to believe in themselves, even when the world doesn't. The choice to try again, even when logic says give up. Have you ever seen someone lose everything? And yet they still smile, still plan, still act like success is inevitable? That's Aries. And in that moment, they teach us something powerful. That hope is not just an emotion. It's an act of rebellion. A refusal to let life's hardships win. Their optimism is their superpower. And it's something all of us need a little more of. But we're not done yet. Because the last 3 truths about Aries reveal what fuels this fire, what weakens it, and what makes them unforgettable. These are the most honest, the most vulnerable, and maybe even the most controversial parts of Aries energy. Stay with me. You're about to see the side of Aries that few ever understand. There's something unbreakable inside an Aries. Even when life knocks them down, even when they lose, even when they're completely exhausted, they get back up. It's not because they're invincible. In fact, they feel pain deeply. They just refuse to let that pain define them. Aries has this inner strength that's difficult to explain until you've seen it. Or lived it. Think about someone who silently keeps going after disappointment. Who smiles, even when their heart is heavy. Who pushes forward, not because it's easy, but because stopping feels like giving up on themselves. That's Aries. They carry their battles inside, often without showing the world. Their strength isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's quiet. Like the strength to trust again after betrayal. Or to hope again after failure. People admire their courage, but few understand the cost. Inside every Aries, there's a fighter. Not just against the world, but against their own doubts. Their resilience is what turns wounds into wisdom. It's what makes them warriors. Not in appearance, but in spirit. And yet, in the middle of all this fire, there's a softer, lighter side that surprises many people. It's their humor. Not just casual jokes, but sharp, witty, sometimes sarcastic humor that catches you off guard. Aries uses humor as a secret language. A way to connect. To ease tension. To show you their heart without fully exposing it. Have you ever noticed someone who makes a sarcastic comment just to break the silence? Or uses a quick, clever joke when things feel too heavy? That's Aries trying to breathe. Humor, for them, is both connection and protection. It keeps people close without letting them too far in. It's a shield, and at the same time, an invitation. And their humor isn't about making fun of others. It's about making life feel a little less serious, even when it is. It's their way of reminding themselves, and everyone around them, that even in struggle, there's space to laugh. But sometimes, that laughter hides something. A tired heart. A restless mind. And a deep hope that someone will see through the smile, and ask, "Are you really okay?" Because behind every Aries joke, there's often an unspoken story. Now that you've seen what burns inside Aries, let's pause. What does all of this mean? Maybe you've seen yourself in these stories. Maybe you know someone who fits this energy exactly. But whether you're an Aries or not, this fire lives in all of us. It's the part of you that wants to lead, even when you're afraid. The part that loves without holding back. The part that craves freedom, even when the world tells you to settle. And yes, it's also the part that makes mistakes. That rushes. That falls. And stands back up. Aries teaches us something we often forget. That life isn't meant to be perfect. It's meant to be lived. Boldly. Honestly. Imperfectly. So, if today's video made you think about your own fire, don't ignore it. Let it burn. Let it lead you. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, someone who's lost their spark, share this video with them. Sometimes, one reminder is enough to reignite a soul. If you saw yourself in these words, or felt something stir inside, consider subscribing to this channel. We'll keep exploring the hidden layers of who we are, together. And don't forget to like this video. It helps more than you think. There's so much more to uncover in the world of astrology, psychology, and personal growth. So stay curious. Because in the next videos, we're diving even deeper into the secrets of every sign, and maybe into the parts of yourself you've been waiting to understand. See you soon. And until then, keep your fire alive.